Meal planning can save you a lot of money. I mean, how does feeding your family for half the price you pay now sound? Pretty great, right? If you want to learn how to do it, then keep watching this video. Make sure you watch until the end, because if you follow all these tips, you can even reduce your grocery bills to $25 a week sometimes. Number 1, check your inventory. There are 3 main areas of inventory that you need to check before you start meal planning. They are the fridge, freezer, and pantry. You want to check what items you have on hand first, so you can see what you currently have that you can make meals with. The best place to start is the fridge, since it holds most of the items that tend to go bad the fastest. While you're writing your items down, don't feel obliged to write everything in your fridge down, like sauces, condiments, or seasonings that are always in your fridge. What you're looking for are things with expiry dates, foods that are almost done, or foods that you need to eat quickly before they go bad. Usually, this will be foods like vegetables, unfinished sour cream containers, cheese, etc. The next place is the freezer. Again, don't focus on writing every single item down because you likely have your freezer staples too. What you want to focus on are frozen proteins, leftovers, and anything that's taking up a lot of space that you want to get rid of. Later in this video, we'll share a bonus tip on the best way to use up items in your freezer. Lastly, you want to focus on your pantry. The pantry is the least important part when it comes to meal planning because items here usually have a very long shelf life. Also, since meal planning is usually geared towards dinner and the pantry mostly holds snacks and lunch-type items, you probably won't need much. However, if you do notice that items need to be rotated so you use the oldest ones first, then don't hesitate to do so. For example, if you notice that some items have been opened, like bags of chips, then you can incorporate that into your dinners. Number 2, make recipes and keep them in a recipe binder. This is arguably the hardest part when you first start out meal planning mostly, because you likely don't have a recipe bank to work from or have never cooked that much. However, it's really not that difficult once you start getting into the groove. For instance, let's say you have a lot of ground beef in your freezer. You can then go over your inventory list and see what goes well with it. If this makes you really uncomfortable, then you can take the Google search route. Essentially, you'll take ingredients that you want to get rid of first, like ground beef, bell peppers, and lettuce, followed by the words recipes, and see what recipes come out of that. You'll find tons and tons of recipes that you can choose from. When you find a recipe that you really enjoy, make sure you write it down, screenshot it, or print it out and keep it in either a physical or digital binder, so you don't have to remember it. It's likely that you'll cycle through 10 to 20 different dinners, which is plenty for the average family. Once you have the main meal set up, you can work on figuring out your sides, like salads or veggies. For instance, let's say you want to make a chicken and veggie stir-fry. You can then make your side rice to go with it. To take it a step further, you can use leftover rice for the following day to meal plan with it. Number 3, plan what days you'll eat your meals. This is an incredibly simple thing to do, right? Well, there's more to it than just figuring out what days go best. However, when you pick your dates, put them somewhere your whole family can see, so that everyone's on the same page. This is great in case you want to make any changes to the dates you have certain meals. Now, the part that makes planning what days to make meals a bit more complicated is that you want to make sure you utilize any leftovers properly. For example, if we take the example of the veggie stir-fry and rice, then you have plain rice left over, which you can make Mexican or Indian-inspired rice. However, if you plan to eat Indian or Mexican-inspired flavored rice and the stir-fry on the following day, then you'd have to make a new pot of rice because you can't unseason rice. Bonus note, when you meal plan, make sure you put your most intensive cooking meals on the days that you have the least work. This way, you can have a much easier time sticking to your plan. While meal planning this way will cut your grocery bill significantly, you'll still have to buy a full grocery once in a while. So we're going to share the next important element of meal planning, which is buying and storing your food in the most efficient way possible. If you're enjoying the video so far, then give it a thumbs up. Number 1, take out produce from bags. When you buy produce and leave it in the bag in your fridge, the time it takes for it to spoil decreases, meaning it'll spoil faster. Produce lasts longer when there's airflow, simply because it doesn't give a good environment for mold to live in. So, when you're putting your groceries away, make sure that you get rid of the plastic bags that they're stored in. Number 2, line your produce drawers with a paper towel. While taking them out of bags is already a great start, you'll want to go a step further and make sure that you line your produce drawers with paper towels. It's important to remember that just because produce is in a fridge doesn't mean it won't decompose. All a fridge does is slow down the process. That means the produce will still release juices, and if that collects at the bottom and you let your veggies sit in it, it's a recipe to lose your produce very quickly. Bonus tip: if you find your veggies are starting to get limp or soft, don't throw them away. They're usually still perfectly edible, and you can use them in recipes that require soft veggies, like a soup or stew, for example. Number 3, order online. It seems counterintuitive to order groceries online since you usually have to pay for pickup or delivery, but you can actually significantly reduce your spending this way. Firstly, you can always keep track of the total as you fill up your online cart, meaning you can more easily stay on budget. There's nothing worse than going to the store thinking you're right on budget to find out you're $100 over. Shopping online prevents this. And one more thing. It also helps you avoid impulse shopping because you can pick and choose the times that you want to fill out your online cart. Number 4, chop your own veggies. Pre-chopped veggies are convenient, but you pay a premium for them. However, that's not the real issue. Unfortunately, pre-cut veggies usually go bad much quicker than veggies that are kept in their natural form. Another downside is that they typically use chemicals to make them last longer and look better. For example, using citric acid on sliced apples prevents them from browning. Number 5, turn your cottage cheese and sour cream upside down. This weird trick works wonders for extending the shelf life of both cottage cheese and sour cream. If you're anything like me, you'll often encounter a half-finished container of sour cream only to find it got moldy a few weeks later because you forgot about it. But turning the containers upside down prevents the mold from growing as fast because it creates an airtight seal, which makes it an environment that's very difficult for harmful bacteria to grow. Did you find this tip to be unique and want to learn more about it? Then subscribe to Investors Weekly to find out more like this and plenty of other tips about minimalism and personal finance. Number 6, separate your bananas. Separating your bananas makes them last longer than when they're together and also prevents one annoying thing from happening. Whenever I try to pull my bananas apart, I sometimes accidentally open 2 at the same time. Unfortunately, this makes it hard to store the other banana, so focusing on separating them properly goes a long way toward making sure they stay fresh the longest. Number 7, milk. It's normal to store your milk in the fridge door, but did you know that's the worst spot to store it? Your milk will last a lot longer if you store it close to the back of your fridge, where it's much colder. Number 8, freeze your cheese. This may be a bit weird, but it works wonders when you find that your cheese goes bad because you forget to finish it. This trick works especially well on shredded cheese or individually packaged cheese, since there isn't much of a texture change. We all know that cheese is expensive, so preserving it for the longest time is key. Before I share this last tip, let me know in the comments below how you meal plan to feed your family for less. Number 9, write the dates on your packages. When you're storing items in your fridge, freezer, or pantry, always label the items. This isn't the same as the expiry dates. You want to write the date you bought an item to make sure that you use it first. This is especially useful when you're storing items in your freezer, well, they'll likely stay for a few months. For instance, if you have leftovers, one from 1 month ago and another from 3, you'll want to use the 3 months one first.